Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Ooh, numbers.
This is a horror movie podcast.
I couldn't think of anything to say.
So you thought you'll just pretend numbers are scary. The concept of numbers in and of themselves.
Basically,
Okay.
yeah. In a way they are, because what is a number but the inevitable climb towards death that is aging.
Okay, I thought you were going to go down like debt maybe there. You know, it's what is a number
Sure.
except the money you owe and will never afford to pay back.
There's that too. Yeah. Hey, why do people think I do this podcast? It's because I lost so much money to you in my old gambling days that I have to pay it back.
Yep. This is also why I'm poor, because I'm waiting on this cheap bastard paying me back for all his gambling debt. Oh yes. Welcome everyone. We normally, of course, review a horror movie, but this is a bit of a special occasion. We actually wanted to squeeze this in October, but then Tim said, no, I want to do 5 subspecies movies for some reason. So it ended up being a November thing instead, and that is us revisiting our top 100 horror movies of all time.
Well, to be fair, we had to make sure to watch all 5 subspecies movies before we made the list to see if they were eligible.
No, I think the more accurate thing, Tim, is that we had to watch all 5 subspecies movies within 2 weeks. Otherwise, we'd never remember what happened in the previous movies.
That's very true.
I think that's more the truth. But we've both made our own top 100. We did this for the first time in October 2016. It has been...
Wow.
Oh, no, sorry, 2017. Sorry. It's been 6 years since we did this. I think the original plan was to do it like 5 years later, and we just kind of didn't think about it last year. So here we are today in 2023, and we're going to both run down our entries. It'll be quite simple. Tim will give his number 100, I'll give my 100, and 99, so on and so forth. Couple rules though, to set things up. Firstly, because obviously there's going to be duplicates between the two lists, we're doing something. I don't know if we've done this in Screams before, but I've definitely done it on Ace at least once, which is if Tim says a movie that I know is on my list higher, when he says what it is, I will say hold, and we won't talk about it yet. We'll wait until it's in the higher entry on my list to talk about it. So Tim's got to be on the ball here and be aware if what I'm saying is on his list higher up.
Oh, God.
But the idea being is that it saves a bit of time because we're not going to have to talk about the same movies twice, and there may be a lot of overlap. We'll find out by the end how many, but this isn't going to be all in one episode. Obviously, there's no way we're sitting here doing 100 movies each in one go. This will be a 3-part experience.
My prediction is we will have at least one or more entries that appear on both lists.
My guess is more, Tim.
Okay. Well, I'm saying one or more.
I'm saying definitely more.
Okay. Well, either way, we'll be right unless it's 0, then we'll both be wrong.
I've got a good feeling. I've got a good feeling that I'm more accurate than you are. You're being all vague with this one or more. I'm like, no, it's definitely more.
Okay. Well, we'll both be right though.
Okay. You're a coward, but you'll be right. All right. So, we'll get into it. The only other thing is that I do have our previous list, so I can tell you as we bring up our entries if they've moved up, if they've moved down, or if indeed they are a new entry, and we'll see how much things have changed. Obviously, we've had 6 years of new horror movies. We've maybe revisited other classics that we either hadn't seen before, or maybe we appreciate more now. But either way, we'll see how things shake out. But yeah, it's simple. So, top 100 horror movies of all time. Tim.
Yeah.
You're up first, buddy.
Oh, dang. Okay. Are we starting from the top or the bottom?
From number 100 and working our way up to the best. Yes.
Okay. Well, I put the best at 100.
That's
So
how.
do you want me to?
We've never done this that way, Tim. Ever. No one's ever done it that way.
All right. Let me just reshuffle my order. Then I'll just do it by alphabetical.
Don't make a mockery of this prestigious award ceremony, Tim.
All right, so my number 100. This is kind of a tough entry, and I'll explain why. All right, so my number 100 is Creepshow 2.
That, by the way, was your number 20 last time.
Interesting.
That's a hell of a drop, Tim.
Yeah. Well, here's my reasoning. And I think I know why I had it so high before, but so this is an anthology film, and I don't think we covered it on the show yet. I don't even think you've seen it, if I remember our conversations correctly.
No, I've not seen it yet. We've done the first movie, and two's sort of waiting in the ether to be done at some point.
So here's the thing: the first one actually had a fair amount of stories in it. There's at least probably I can't count off the top of my head, but there might be like 5 or 6 stories or something like that in the first one. So the second one, it only has 3 stories, and if you include 4, if you include the wraparound, but the wraparound is never much of a thing. So here's the thing: the first story, it's pretty bad. It's kind of dull, a little boring, and it really didn't age well.
Oh no!
It's kind of the premise. It's
can I just say, I love that we're doing our 100 best horror movies of all time, and the starting point on your first pick is here's what's wrong with it.
There's a lot of context for this for this entry, so that's why I have to go into it. So if the premise for the first story, I'll just say, is it's like this like general store kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And it's run by these 2 white people, and they have one of those like Native American statues in front. I don't know if you remember that episode of Seinfeld where Jerry bought like one of those I forget what they call them, like it's like no, it's like a cigar Indian or something. I think they might call them or whatever. There's an episode of Seinfeld where he buys one of them and then ends up blowing up in his face, of course. But the premise of the story is it's basically like this white couple is murdered by this like criminal Native American and his kind of gang, and then the wooden Native American statue comes to life and like seeks revenge. But it's like, if you watch it now, it's like pretty problematic. It definitely doesn't stand the test of time. The statue does look kind of cool when it comes to life, but it's like weirdly long and kind of dull, and again just doesn't age well. So the first story is not good. Here's the thing though, the second story is phenomenal. It is so good. It's legitimately might be one of the best like segments of anthology horror movie like ever. So that's why I included it on the list, and that's probably why I ranked it so high the last time, is because just kind of going from that first one a lot, or I'm sorry, from the second one a lot. But yeah, the second story is called The Raft, and it's based on a Stephen King short story, and it's just really nasty. It's got this great creature effect. It's about these like horny teens that are trapped on a raft in the middle of a lake that there's like this like weird tar monster that's pursuing them, and it looks so cool, and it's just great. Like I can't stress it enough. It really is just one of the best anthology segments there are. There's a little bit of a problematic part to it as well, but
seems to be a theme here with these stories, Tim.
But yeah, it's really good though. Like it's worth the price of admission for the movie. And then the third one is like, okay, it's like this lady is being pursued by the ghost of this hitchhiker. So it's not like horrible, but it's not like great either. But the second segment is so good, it just really does a lot of the heavy lifting. And I actually do like the wraparound. It has like some animated segments, which is kind of funky, but yeah, I mean, that's why I have it kind of at the bottom of the list here, is because it is very uneven, but the parts that are good are so damn good, and it's something I liked and watched a lot as a kid, and in general I like the Creepshow franchise, even though there's only like really 2 good entries in it. But yeah, that's my number 100.
There's going to be a long 100 with how in-depth that description was, Tim.
Nothing else needs that much context. Everything else should be easy breezy.
You say that, but I feel like you're going to start your number 99 and you're going to be like, okay, I have to tell you about the day I watched this movie and the entire morning leading up to me watching it, because I tell you it's important to the context of why I love it so much. Okay, my number 100. Well, Tim picked a problematic film because he's a problematic individual. I picked a movie directed by a woman that is a feminist horror film.
Oh, you want applause?
Yes,
Such an ally.
yes, I want applause. My number 100 is Slumber Party Massacre.
There you go. Attaboy.
I was being a little facetious, of course, but yeah, bizarrely, this entire franchise is all women directors. It's just a weird detail about it, but so this is actually up a little, or sorry, it's down a little bit for me at number 91 last time. But yeah, number 100 is Slumber Party Massacre. The original, 2 is obviously the zany one because it's got the weird guitar thing going on. But the first one's kind of like this encapsulation of just like not taking itself too seriously, silly slasher movie with kooky or at least memorable sort of archetypical characters, and just the fact that like it's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. Like the killer's dressed all in denim, like he's in a Canadian tuxedo, and he uses a drill, and he doesn't even wear a mask. He just looks kind of menacing. Like that's it. That's the whole thing. But it's fun. I never don't have a good time watching this, so I'll leave it short and sweet. By the way, were you meant to say hold?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I mean, it's not on my list, but I will chime in that it is a fun movie, and in general, kind of a surprisingly fun franchise.
Yeah.
It's no, those aren't bad watches.
I do not regret watching any of those movies, and there's 4 of them now because the new one came out a couple years ago. So yeah, there's my number 100. Tim, what is your number 99?
Number 99 is The Howling.
You may continue.
So, so a little bit of context, but it won't be as long.
I'll say this is down from 51. Sorry.
There you go. So yeah, the reason why I do have it kind of lower is because, and I think I mentioned it a lot on the review that we did, but the middle of this movie is unfortunately like really dull, which I think is such a shame because it has such a strong opening and such a strong ending. I really, really love those 2 parts of the film. The middle, yeah, unfortunately, once he gets to that kind of like hippie commune therapy retreat thing, there's a lot of stuff there that's kind of like, all right, now we're just spinning our wheels until we see the werewolf. And when we do see the werewolf, it is legitimately cool looking.
It's one of the better ones of the era, for sure.
Yeah. So I think there is like a lot to be praised, but it's just that I really wish like this is something that maybe if there was like a director's cut that like trimmed it down or just made the middle a little bit more exciting, because I really want to be like, oh no, like yeah, The Howling rules, like yeah, it should be really up high up there, and it's just hard to justify with how boring it gets during that time. But again, just I can't stress enough the opening in the middle I love, especially the opening is has like this very grimy like city feel to it, and it's not even like before there's even like a werewolf introduced. There's like this like pervert, like a serial killer that they're chasing down. That's like, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I can
concur on the opening being very good. I have to ask, do you think the fact that you since last time have seen all the sequels that it's hurt your opinion of the word howling a bit?
I think it does. It did damage the brand a little bit, unfortunately.
We went through an obvious vampire movie to Australia to line dancing to the circus to a Twilight knockoff. Like we went the gambit on that whole thing. So very good. All right, my number 99. This is another silly fun one. This is the thing, like you have to balance the serious picks but then the silly movies that you love for what they are, you know. Sure. And my number 99, which is a new entry, is The Invisible Maniac.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, okay. I will continue.
You may continue.
Okay. Yeah. So this is just.
Hold on, let me get this sandwich, and hopefully I won't choke on it.
That's a reference to the movie. He's not being weird. Yeah, Invisible Maniac's a movie that I remembered seeing in TV a long time ago, and then we were starting to do the bonus episodes. Like, I think you suggested it as our first bonus episode on Patreon, and I went, yeah, I remember this movie. We need to watch this. And it's actually a really funny movie. It's this teacher who's got invisibility serum, and he goes around being a complete pervert when he's got invisibility. You hear him snickering with laughter, watching the girls' locker rooms. It's not like it's got. I mean, actually, that does have some good kills because that sandwich scene that you mentioned is pretty good, actually. The characters are over the top. Like, everyone's really horny. It's just a really silly, funny movie that is very, very watchable. It's got some of those great bad movie kind of like lines of dialogue. Like, you know, the people who have been flown in to like listen to his presentation about his invisibility technology, and there's this random guy with a thick American accent. He says, I flew all the way from Helsinki for this. I think that was the line anyway. It was something like that. If it wasn't Helsinki, it was somewhere in that range of the world. So
I remember it's like he's addressing like the world's top scientists, and it's just like a table of like 4 or 5 people. And I remember he says something like, you know, like men and then like he pauses and he goes, and women, and there's like this stern looking woman at the table. It's like, just one continue, like, yeah, it's like so cheesy.
And not only that, not only is it just like 5 people at a table, it's in like clearly a rented bit of office space where there's nothing in the room whatsoever. And it's just like, yeah, okay, but it's a blast. It's like when I was trying to think of some of my quirkier picks that like I really love these movies, like what did I get on here? Invisible Maniac sort of spoke to me, and I was like, you know what, that's making the list. It's making the list, damn it.
No, very good. Yeah, that's a fun one. I mean, I love, you know, the dumb 80s 90s cheesy over the top movies, and that's a good one. That's a good party movie. I like to call them, like, you know, you throw it on with friends, maybe have a couple of drinks, so order some pizza. That's a good time.
Yeah. All right, what's your 98, Tim?
All right. I was surprised that this one made the list, but you know, it's one I've probably been thinking about ever since we did our review of it.
Oh.
And that is last year's? Yeah, I think it was last year's Halloween Ends.
Oh, interesting. New entry, of course, because I just know I have to check for that one because it only just came out in the last few years. But that's an interesting pick, Tim. You may proceed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we've been really harsh on David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. So I was going in expecting to hate this, and lo and behold, I was surprised that like it's not the best thing in the world, but considering how much like Halloween Kills was so bad and so off the mark, this was actually really interesting to me. And I think that's like kind of the key word is they're trying new things.
It was refreshing.
Yeah, it was actually going like for something different, and it, you know, it's a little bit of a shame that they seem to kind of back away from it towards the end, and then it becomes more of a traditional, you know, Halloween movie. But I mean, before that though, like you know, and it's very derisive. Like, you know, there are some fans that absolutely hate it, which I completely understand. But I like the big swings and the swerve, and yeah, I just it's just something that's like, you know, been on my mind a lot. But, you know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, you know, that was kind of cool. And again, you know, it's low on the list because you know, that's still not a perfect movie by any stretch. But yeah, it's I did enjoy it.
It's funny because I don't have this on my list, but I was thinking about it today and how much I'm still annoyed that it chickened out of the movie it was to become just Michael versus Laurie again. For the final showdown for the 7th time or whatever number they were on at that point. You know, really, really sad that it ended that way, but I respect it. I respect that pick, Tim.
You know what? I always have a soft place in my heart for it because we saw it together.
We did. We held hands. That's true.
You showed me your famous popcorn trick.
Yeah, talking about wrapping around. So my number 98 is a new entry. It's another newer release. One that wasn't like an instant like pick for me when I was like thinking, okay, what's come out in the last 5 or so years that might make the top 100 now. This wasn't one of the first things I thought of, but when I was getting down to the lower numbers, it kind of started to I think of it, and I was like, you know what, I actually really like that movie, and that is The Last Matinee.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. This is the foreign movie, which is set at a old horror movie screening where there's a serial killer in the theater going around bumping people off. It's got a lot of ingredients that I really like. It's got the bottle movie kind of element where it's all this one location. It's got like an interesting cast of kooky characters who are, you know, because it's pretty empty, so there's only like little small groupings. There's like a kid who snuck in, there's a couple, there's an older person or whatever, and you know, basically for a good part of the movie they're unaware of the fact that there's killings going on, but then once it ramps up, you know, it kind of, but there's a lot of fun stuff where they had this movie playing which I think was like footage from another movie that the same director made years ago or something like that. And there was just all this stuff going. It just had enough little bit of personality, and it was just the right kind of setting for me, where it clicked with me just enough. And some of the kills were kind of fun. It's got it's got a little bit. It's kind of like halfway between having a little bit of the 80s cheesy charm at times with its humor, but maybe veering stylistically towards the Italian kind of giallo in terms of its visuals at times. And I think that mix was just a nice little refreshing movie for me.
There you go. Yeah, I also love any movie that takes place in a movie theater. That's always a lot of fun. For a second, I thought you were just talking about when you said it didn't register to me that was the movie you were talking about. I was just thinking of the movie Matinee, which I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I actually just saw that for the first time last year. I really like it, actually.
Which I like it a lot too, but I was like, would you consider that a horror movie? Like,
no. The movie they're shown in the movie might technically be considered a horror movie, but I would say no. I liked it a lot, though.
Yeah. So I was like, where are you going with this? And then I was like, oh wait, no, the like you said, that foreign movie. I remember. Okay. All right. Shall I do my 97?
Go for it.
All right. You know what the problem with Invisible Maniac was?
Yeah.
There was only one maniac. That's why my 97 is Neon Maniacs.
Well, because first of all, that is down from number 59 last time. So that's first things first. And also, you may continue.
Okay. I was like, wow, it's gonna be on your list. It's crazy. No, I mean, I think I've talked about in the last episode in our review of it how much I love this movie. Totally admitting that it is not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. But what continues to fascinate me to this day from the, geez, I probably saw it for the first time over 10 years ago.
And your mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah. It's just utterly bizarre. It's so weird, and it does not bother to explain anything. Like the premise of the movie is that there are these maniacs that live in another dimension that is inside an ice cream truck that is under the San Francisco Bridge. And they only come out when it's not raining because their weakness is water. By
San Francisco Bridge, you mean the Golden Gate Bridge, right?
Sure, same bridge.
I've just never heard anyone call it that before.
I don't know. I'm not a bridge guy. I don't know the name of it.
You live in California.
Yeah, I'm like 8 hours away.
Still, I mean, closer than I am.
But yeah, I mean, and that premise alone is just so weird, and all the maniacs, they're all different stereotypes, kind of. Like, there's a samurai, there's a Native American warrior, there's an ape caveman, there's a weird guy that just looks like he's in a gimp suit that I think has electric powers. There's a one-eyed lizard thing with hook for hands. They're so weird, and again, it's the movie just doesn't care about explaining it to you, and then you have all this weirdness, and it's just mixed in with the cheesiness of the 80s, where you have the hunky guy and the cute girl and the kind of younger annoying movie fan, and then
and there's there's a concert or a Halloween party or something that the third act takes around.
Yeah, one of my favorite things I'm really appreciating whenever a movie just stops all the action and horror and let's do a musical number, especially it was enough with Primal Rage, a movie we just did on the Patreon, if people haven't heard that yet, but at least when they're doing that, the person that's putting on the concert isn't involved with what's going on. What's funny about this is it's the main character stops the hunt for the maniacs. I was I gotta go perform with my band. Yeah, it's so funny and so weird. It's I'm just I'm obsessed with it because it's just so weird and random and nonsensical. Usually there's a bad move, when movies are bad, it's oh well, I can see what they're going for this, or whatever. Me, I'm just I just want to know who what mind thought of this, because I don't know, it feels like it would be my mind. So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have it on my list, but I did enjoy watching it. It is weird, but this has always tickled you a bit more than it did me, for whatever reason.
I'm just fascinated by it. It's just it's a quirk of mine. I know, but
yeah. All right, my number 97 is down from 60, and that is Creep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You may continue.
Oh, so this is not going to be a lot of found footage on my list, I would say, but this is one that sticks out from that subgenre. This is what Mark Duplass, who is the titular creep, and he hires a videographer to like document stuff because he wants to make a documentary about himself, but he just openly admits that he is a killer. He kills people, and it kind of becomes this sort of tense thing. I was like, is he going to like attack the guy filming this? And the way it builds, it's so different to other found footage, because most found footage is usually about something supernatural, whereas this is not. This is about just a crazy person who may or may not even be telling the truth. We don't really know for a lot of the movie. It's got some legit creepy moments. There's only a couple of small contrivances as to like why is he still filming at this moment, but the moment where it's contrived, it's so good that he's doing it. The shot in the moment that happens is so good that you're like, you know what, I'm going to give it a pass because that moment's actually really good. But
yeah.
The performance from Duplass is very good. It's a really different take on the subgenre, and I think it clicked in a way. You know, I think if you watch this movie, you'll come away just remembering Peach Fuzz and what that is, and just how it's all contextualized in the movie. It's a really good example of a really cheap, simple idea, just with a good script, a couple of good actors, and some, elbow grease, I guess.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. Yeah, I agree with like what you said. I think one of the big draws is like just how tense it gets, and just continually being on edge of like, oh, is this guy full of shit, or is he legitimately like something you should be scared of? And yeah, they do a really good job with that.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting on the third one. I thought that was like, I thought that it seemed like they were like, pretty into it that it was gonna come out like many years ago. But I mean, I don't think we've heard anything.
I guess the pandemic just kind of maybe diverted their attention or whatever. Maybe they had like commitments to other things they had to stick to for a while. Hopefully we still, because Creep 2 was still an interesting movie. It wasn't as good as 1, but it was definitely an interesting follow-up. So yeah, hopefully we get something from it. But so that was quite a harsh fall for that one. I still like it a lot, obviously, but there was some new entries and some things went up in my estimation, so some stuff had to come down. That's just the way it works. But it's not because
sometimes like
I want to be clear, it's not because this is any worse, or I think it's any worse than I did last time. It's because the bar is raised, right? This is the same quality as it was before, but just everything above it's, higher up.
Yeah, so for sure. I think sometimes too, like also like you can't always like rewatch everything you want to. So like sometimes even if you like a movie, if you haven't watched it in a while, it might just might not be on your mind as much as some other stuff. Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely some stuff on this top 100 that I do need to watch again to sort of rediscover and why I loved it as much as I did, and it might place higher if I do. But anywho, Tim, why don't you crack on with your number 96? So I mean, speaking of recency bias, I actually just watched this on Halloween Day. But I mean, it's something I watch, almost every Halloween day. It's a little tradition. I only started a few years ago, but I like it quite a bit. That is the WNUF Halloween special. Now, Pete, do you even know what this is? I don't know if we've talked about it before.
I have no idea what this is.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to tell you. So basically what it is it's WNF NUF. That's like stands for like a local TV station. So basically the movie is you're watching like this news broadcast, and it's on like Halloween Day, and they're doing a special where they're going into like have a seance in this like haunted house. But it feels like you're watching like a tape of the special from that era, like including, like there's like VHS tracking, and it's filled with commercials. Like most of the movie is probably commercials. So for some people, it might not be your cup of tea, but the thing is that they're all really fun and funny, and it just serves as like good tension breaks. Like when, something is happening.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I think you might have told me about this before, and I just the name just never stuck.
I truly don't know if it's something you would even like, because I think we agree on a lot of stuff, and we do have overlap. I think sometimes our humor tastes kind of differ, so I don't know if you like it, but I mean, we should do it on the show at some point.
Is it feature length? Is it like a full 90 minutes or whatever?
Yeah, like it is, I think, a bit on the shorter side, so it might be like 80-ish, but it is like a full movie. Yeah,
still a movie.
But no, I mean, it's really funny. Like you have like, the cheesy news anchors that are, dressed up like a witch and Dracula, and like, and they're like very over the top and cheesy. And then like, they have like commercials with like, dentists and like local restaurants, and they're all like, most of it is all like Halloween themed and stuff. So it's also just, something that really puts me in the mood for Halloween. So that's also one of the reasons why I really like it. And always like to make sure to watch it around Halloween time. But yeah, I think it's a really fun movie. I think if you're someone that grew up around the same time as us, and like are used to watching tons of TV and seeing tons of commercials, like it kind of makes you feel a little nostalgic in that way too. So that's another point in its favor. But yeah.
Okay, so that sounds interesting. It's an interesting concept.
And I will say they did do a sequel recently, which I also really like, but I'd only seen it the once. I didn't have time to rewatch it, so I didn't put it on the list. But I forget what it has to. It's another kind of like weird name. It's like something mixtape, and that one, it's kind of like a similar concept, but they're doing more like trashy 90s, like talk shows, like my sister was abducted by aliens. So similar concept, but if you like this one, I don't think the sequel or kind of quasi sequel was as good, but it is worth checking out if you like it.
Cool. All right. My number 96, which is down a bit again, much like the last entry, all the way from 45, is Sleepaway Camp 2.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, continue. Oh,
yeah.
All right. No overlap yet. Jeez, this is... All right, so Sleepaway Camp 2, like I like the first movie, and I actually rewatched the main three movies last year, maybe the year before, I don't know, relatively recently, and sort of rediscovered them, and like I was like, okay, I actually like the first one a lot more than I think I remembered. Obviously it's got the crazy ending everyone always talks about, but 2 is this really interesting campy movie where it's not really got good kills because it's not that type of movie. The first one's like a proper horror movie. The second one is this kind of weird meta tongue-in-cheek kind of predecessor to things like Scream and Cabin in the Woods, where it's this self-referential character who's making a lot of jokes about being in a slasher movie, and this is years before even Wes Craven's New Nightmare existed, so this feels very kind of like, oh, this is laying the groundwork for some of these ideas. Even if Wes Craven never saw it, it's hard to deny there's like a lineage, just even in terms of the ideas, because it is kind of the first early example of being ultra sort of meta with everything it's doing and poking fun at the tropes and all that stuff. And it's legitimately quite funny. Anytime that Angela, who is our main character and also the killer, is on screen and doing stuff and like justifying why she wants to kill the kids at a campground for doing bad things and breaking the rules, it's really funny. It's like a really dark comedy horror movie. And yeah, rewatching them, like 1's better than I thought it was, and 2 still pretty much holds up. 3's kind of the sad one because it's like, despite the fact that it was made right after 2, it's really dull and doesn't have much momentum. It doesn't have much of a plot or a flow. It's just kind of camping in the woods, and like the main character's still funny in places, but it's really quite sad after 2. Like how much 3 just doesn't work. But 2's a good time.
It's been a while since I watched it, but I thought I remember 3 being like okay, like definitely the worst out of all of them, but or at least out of those 3. I forget if they did they do some sequels after that?
Yeah, there was like a weird, like the unfinished one, and then there was like a return to Sleepaway Camp, which I've never seen those later things.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen them either.
We've not done them on the show at all, so when we do them, we'll do at least the finished ones. Like I don't know if we'll do the weird sort of in between one that never quite got finished, but we'll definitely do that newer one.
Was the second one, was that Pamela Springsteen that fills in the role of Frangela?
That sounds right. I don't remember, if I'm honest, but it sounds vaguely familiar.
I want to say it's like Bruce Springsteen's like sister or something.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Hey, I could be completely wrong. Who knows? And then is that the one with the famous cover where it's like her with like with Freddy's glove and Jason's hockey mask. That's a great cover for a movie.
It's good stuff. And we just did Night of the Demons, which referenced Freddy and Jason on a poster. So that seemed to be the it thing to do if you were being quirky in the late 80s, making your horror movie. So what's your number 95, Timmy?
Well, you inadvertently set me up. So 95 is Night of the Demons.
Whoa! Look at that! Look at that! Oh, that's beautiful. That's a new entry for you, by the way. Also, you may continue.
So we just recently did this on the show, and it had been a while since I'd seen it. I forgot how much fun this one is. Again, it's still in this kind of bottom of the list territory because there's definitely like some complaints you could have about it, but the thing that's great about it though is it's just full of that 80s cheese with the over the top characters that are just really funny. I think we even said kind of in the review where like it might even lose a little bit of its momentum once the horror stuff starts because the characters are just like so much fun in the beginning, but I mean that mixed with like some decent kills and some pretty funny moments. There's just another one that it's just like a good fun cheesy time. And then and also again maybe I'm an easy mark, but I'll give something bonus points if it takes place on Halloween. Just like anything that gives me that Halloween fall pumpkin filled flavor, I'm a little bit of a sucker for, so it kind of keeps its place in my heart for that too.
Interesting. That's a couple of Halloween set movies you've had back to back.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned it, but Neon Maniacs. Well, actually, Halloween Ends, Neon Maniacs, WNUF, and Night of the Demons.
4. So. Very interesting. Okay, my number 95 is down a little from 92, and that is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, hold.
Oh, our first hold. Our first hold. Oh, well, in that case, Tim, we go right on to your number 94.
94. Okay, so not gonna have a problem with this one because I don't even think you've seen this movie yet.
Oh, good.
That is VHS. Are you ready for it?
Okay. Yes.
99, which looking back on it, I probably should have had that as my 99 pick just because that would have been funny. But
that would have been funny. I guess there's another franchise we still need to do in the show, Tim. There's all these VHS movies.
So I had to look this one up because the one complaint I will give with these movies is I hate the naming convention. Like I forget the couple. I thought the first ones were just like VHS, VHS 2.
They are. Yeah. It's VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral, and then it's the years. And at that point, I don't know which order they're meant to be in.
Well, and the problem with it is that the years don't go. I don't think they go chronologically because I think.
Oh, of course not.
Because the first one was like, I want to say maybe like 94 or something, and then this one was like 99, and then the newest one was like 84 or something. So it makes it really confusing because I'm like, okay, I know there's one of these I really liked, but which freaking one was it? But I think this is a really solid anthology. And I think some people might be a little surprised that I went with this one instead of the previous one because the previous one had the Ratma segment, which was a really like very good one, and there's one that kind of had like Twitter buzz at the time. Like people were like, oh my god, Ratma is like so cool and stuff, and I do agree that one had a really good segment, but I do think that this one is overall a stronger entry. I would say that like which I think is rare, especially for the VHS movies, because I think all the VHS movies will usually have at least one or two like strong entries, but then they're also usually filled with either mediocre or just straight up bad ones. But this one I think is really solid. Like I think every entry is either like good to great. Like there's a kind of like punk rock zombie one that I believe starts it off. There's like this one where someone gets like buried alive and it's very tense. There's like this weird game show one which is probably my least favorite, but it's like at least like really interesting. And then I believe I believe it's this one, but yeah, it should be this one. Again, it's hard to keep them together because of the names and stuff, but I think this one also has the last segment, which is by the people that did Deadstream, which was a movie that we both enjoyed. So yeah, it's really cool. But I think this is a very solid anthology movie.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the first one, and I'm just kind of leaving the rest until we do them, so it's all fresh for me when we get to them. The Hell House movies, as we said before, what was the other franchise? Sleepaway Camp. We need to do that. There's a bunch of franchises we still need to do somehow, but we've started Puppet Master, and we're still doing Hammer Dracula, so we've got our hands full for the time being.
Hey, but no more Subspecies movies to do though, so.
Yeah, we could have been doing sequels to those other franchises throughout October, Timmy, but instead we were doing Subspecies movies.
At least it's done and over. Like.
True, it's over. Yes, the pain is over. All right, that was your 94. My 94 is actually a new entry for me, and that is, it's not a new release, it's just a new entry, and that is Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
You may continue.
That's interesting, Tim, because you had this last time.
I am very fond of this movie, but wasn't on the list this time.
That's fair. Here's the thing: I always stuck up for it, and it's not a great movie, obviously, right? And even I was watching Red Letter Media were talking about all the Friday the 13th movies, and they were pointing out that you can really tell like the makeup effects are much worse than 8 versus 7, because 7 was directed by a makeup guy, and Jason looks much worse than 8. But here's the thing: I love Jason Takes Manhattan, and it's only sort of like grown closer to my heart in these last few years, because we did all the movies, because we hadn't done them all yet when we did the last top 100, I don't think, or maybe we started them but we hadn't finished them, certainly. Like Part 8's just grown in my heart because it's lovably dumb. I love the song that plays at the start over the montage in New York. I love that New York's got barrels of toxic waste, that there's toxic waste flooding the sewer system every night at midnight like clockwork for some reason. I love that the main characters, when they arrive in New York, finally, they get mugged within like 10 seconds of being on land. Jason punching someone's head off. And I actually love the stuff on the boat. People like to say, oh, it's not in Manhattan most of the movie. I'm like, who cares?
The dumbest critique of the whole world. People need to get over themselves. Like, it's such a fun movie. If you're just hung up on the title, I don't know what to tell you. Like, grow up.
Look, does it have the best characters of the series? No, right? Does it even have the best kills? I mean, the boxing kills pretty high up there, but no, probably not overall. But Jason looks great. Ken Hodder's still doing great playing him, and the setting is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of fun kind of weird bits of humor that come from it. So, I've learned I love 7 a lot more than I used to as well. That didn't quite make the list though. But Manhattan I had to put in here. So I'm not saying it's a great movie, okay? I'm saying that it's very lovable and I love it. So
I like it quite a bit. I debated putting it on the list. I'll be honest. It's possible I may have a few Friday the 13th entries on the list. I'm not gonna say if I do or not, but it's possible that I might have some, and that maybe I thought there's only so many I can have on the list. I can't.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I mean, I'm a big defender of 8 as well. It kind of drives me crazy when people, are mean to it.
Yes, I agree. So, anywho, that's my number 94. What's your 93, Tim?
Bum bum ba-da, here comes the bride. The Bride of Chucky, that is.
Okay, you may continue. And also, that is a new entry for you.
Oh, okay. I think maybe, the first half of the 3rd season of Chucky just wrapped up. And I think I liked the series enough growing up. It wasn't like my main series or whatever. But I think just the fact that it's continued and it's had one, main person in charge of the lore and the story that has been really championing it, and then
Don Mancini. Yep.
yeah, just the fact that it's like continued and it has this TV show and it's still going and it's so wacky, and they don't try to, I mean, there technically was like a reboot, but it's like its own thing, but like they don't try to like retcon or change a bunch of stuff. They just keep going with it. I really love that, and I think it's kind of made me develop more of a fondness of the series over the years, especially some of these entries like this, like Bride of Chucky. I think is a really, really fun movie. It's, over the the first three, they were like, pretty, like they had funny parts in them, but they were, still mostly like, you probably consider it like somewhat serious horror movies. Like you wouldn't say like, you might say like, oh yeah, there's comedic parts, but you wouldn't say, oh, it's like a horror comedy or whatever. But like Bride of Chucky is where it enters like its full like camp era. Like it's so campy and cheesy, but in such a fun way. And then the introduction of Tiffany, like, her and Chucky just have such a good dynamic. They're so fun to watch. And, the fact that she wasn't just like a one and done character, like she's been in like every movie and the TV show and everything since. And again, the fact that they're like carrying on with like the crazy continuity that they've developed with her in like the later movies, I think is just so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I think this has like really fun kills, like a lot of really like, cheesy one-liners and comedy and references to other horror movies, and there's a lot of fun stuff with this. The kind of the only complaint about it really is that the main human characters are pretty dull and boring, but I guess this is kind of where like Chucky becomes more of the star. Like, you don't really care about the humans that much kind of after these movies.
Well, that's not entirely true. I think one of the reasons why it got pretty good in the sort of the newer ones is because they had because Fiona Dourif came in and became this this new lead. So I think Chucky's, I appreciate Chucky a lot more. I've not watched season 2 or any of season 3 yet. Basically, it was on last year when I was on my trip, so I just kind of missed half of it, and I just never went back. I'll definitely will at some point just to watch it because it's good fun. But I think one of the things that stuck out to what you said there is that I have a more fondness for the franchise as a whole. And I think Seed of Chucky's a bit lame, and 3's not amazing, but by and large, I kind of enjoy it as a whole. But it's this kind of weird thing where I don't know, there's not many individual entries where I might rank them very high on their own, but when I think of the series as a whole, I feel quite positive about it, and I'm quite happy that it's continuing its continuity and it's doing all these wacky things.
For sure.
So it's an interesting case in that sense, but very good. My number 93 is a new entry for me, and it is Psycho 2.
All right, hold it. Hold it, you son of a bitch.
Very well. We shall move on to your number 92.
Okay. I was just scrolling up to make sure I do have it on my list. Okay. 92. Gosh, I don't know if this is going to be controversial, but my 92 is What We Do in the Shadows, which admittedly, maybe people might think more of a comedy, but comedy horror or whatever. I think it counts, but
new entry, by the way.
Yeah. I'm assuming I probably didn't have it previously because I was like, well, it's too much of a comedy, but I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser. I'm gonna kind of shake up the rules a little bit. And it's kind of funny too, because I mean, I liked the movie when it first came out. Like, I never disliked it, but this is something that's a little not exactly the same as Chucky, but in a similar way. I have grown more of a fondness of it because of the TV show, even though it's very different. Like, it's completely different characters and stuff. But I actually do think the TV show is a little better than the movie. But
I really like the TV show more than, I mean, I don't think the movie's bad. The movie's obviously good, but I think the TV show's like, come on, Nandor and Matt Berry and Nadja,
so good. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, without the TV show, it would just be like, oh yeah, that's a funny movie, but I wouldn't think about it as much. But since the TV show is, always around, it's like maybe more present in my mind. But I guess no one have much to say about it. It's just it's really funny. I do like, though, like there are parts where it does get bloody, like and violent and stuff, and they do like horrific or monstrous things. But I mean, it's always in service of comedy and stuff. But really, I like it quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Number 92 for me Down quite a bit from number 25 from last time is Darling.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't have this.
No, I think that was a little bit of a contentious episode. I wasn't as into it.
Yeah, I dug this. So this is like an indie black and white movie about this woman who's living on her own and has clearly got some paranoia issues, and it sort of builds up to kind of her, lashing out at someone. But I think the reason why I had it so high before, and part of it may have been recency bias, because it was quite new when we did the last list, and I still like it a lot. I do feel like I need to revisit it though, to sort of like rekindle that love for it a little bit. But I just loved how it was directed. I thought it felt really cool, and it felt like I was really inside this woman's head. It felt very artistic in the way it was shot. Not just because it's black and white, but the way it used this big house she was living in. It's I don't want to say it's a brownstone. I don't know if it was actually in New York, but it was that kind of like sort of house that had multiple floors, as opposed to like a traditional house that's on a suburban street. I remember just being kind of like really wrapped up in the movie, and I still actually have been meaning to see Mickey Keaton's other movies, which...
Well, you had like a recent one like the last year or two.
Yeah, you had one a couple years after this as well called Pod, which I was meaning to get to. And
Okay.
I think I had it on the Ace schedule at one point, and it got bumped for other things, and then I just kind of forgot to put it back on. But I like it a lot, and I still wanted to sort of represent it here, even if I don't feel as confident enough to put it up as high as I did Once Upon a Time. So, Darling.
There you go. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. It's been a while since I watched it, though. Who knows? Maybe I'll appreciate it a little bit more if I go back. But like you said, who has the time?
Sorry, you wouldn't understand it anyway, Tim. It's okay.
Oh yeah, it's black and white. How would I?
Okay,
So artsy.
What's your number 91?
I kick ass for the Lord. Of course, that is the famous line from Dead Alive, or as you may know it, Brain Dead, I believe is the
you
UK
had
title.
You had this at number 55 before.
Okay. And part of the reason why it's probably a little lower is because I haven't rewatched it in a while, and part of the reason why I haven't rewatched it is because I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, they said they were putting out a big collection of Peter Jackson movies on Blu-ray, including this and Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles. And where is it? Where's my Blu-ray collection, Pete? I don't see it. It's not here. Why does Peter Jackson insist on making all these Beatles documentaries when we don't have Dead Alive on Blu-ray yet? Sorry. I got to get my jabs in on Pete, not you, Mr. Jackson. But yeah, this is just a really fun movie, very over the top, very comedic. It reminds me of like Evil Dead 2 if they were like, let's not even try to have any like creepiness, let's just go full out like comedy. It's so gory and fun, and it's like legitimately gross. Like there are some parts that I'm like, oh, like this is grossing me out, but it's so much fun.
What number was that for you, Tim?
91.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Wait, am I on 91?
So I do 91, then you should do 91.
In theory, but like I'm only on 92.
Well, we skipped a few because you were holding them. I don't know if that.
Yeah, but in theory, that shouldn't affect the order. So I've confused myself.
Do you want me to recap?
No, I didn't. Okay, sorry. Actually, I think I know what's happened. I think I thought that I skipped a movie, but I didn't. You held it. You held it. We're fine.
Okay, yeah.
We're fine. Okay, panic over. It's a lot of movies to juggle. Okay, everyone.
It's
all
a
right.
lot, yes.
All right. My number 91 then is down from 51 from last time, and that is The Descent.
Oh, hold it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right, that's another hold. All these holds.
Hold on. Wait, do it.
All right, let Tim
Did I
double
remember?
check. Bum.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
hold it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, then I guess we're on your number 90, Tim.
So I actually just watched this the other day because it's been a while, and I wanted to just double check, make sure I still enjoyed it. Spoiler alert, I did. My number 90 is Ghostwatch, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've not seen Ghostwatch, I don't think.
No, you know what it is, though, right? Like it's, or maybe
Maybe?
not.
Well, maybe it'll
thought-
click when you actually tell me
Okay.
about it.
All right. Well, I'm surprised because I thought it was like pretty infamous, but maybe it's a little more niche. But-
New entry for you as well, by the way.
So, what's kind of funny is it's a little similar to the WNUF Halloween special, but it's a much more serious take. So, it actually aired as a special on the BBC. I'm not sure if it's in the 90s or the 80s.
Oh,
But
is
it
this
was-
the one that's presented as if they're doing like true paranormal
Yes.
stories? Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically like they're doing like a special like news report kind of thing about like a haunted house. Like it feels very like this came out before the movie, but it feels very similar to The Conjuring 2, like the haunted house case in that. Like they have like a this house that's making noises, and they have like like a single mom with like a couple of daughters that are experiencing paranormal stuff, and they're doing an investigation. But it's it's very interesting, and it's taken like very seriously to the point where like I believe when they aired it, people didn't realize that it was fake. So like people are freaking out because I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets like a little crazy at the end, and I think one of the reasons why people like didn't know it was a movie was because they actually got like a prominent BBC like news anchor to like host it, and he's like playing himself. He's not like playing a character or whatever, so it makes it like feel legitimate. But it's very interesting though. It's for that fact that it is like presented so real, and then but it's entertaining though. It goes off the rails and some really cool stuff happens. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's a good watch.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I'm sure we'll do it in the show at some point. My number 90 is a new entry for me, and that is Fright Night.
Okay, continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Fright Night is one that I remembered not being that fond of until we watched it for the show. Was it last year we did that? And I think both of us by the end of that viewing and talking about it were like, yeah, this is better than I think we both thought it was before. It's a bit campy, but it kind of is working for me in a way that I don't think it ever did in the past. I found myself enjoying the main character teaming up with this like fake vampire hunter to take on an actual vampire. I enjoyed kind of the hypnotic 80s stuff of like the dance floor and him using his vampire magic on people, and just the fun kind of like sort of the almost the house like traps they sort of go into at the end kind of thing. Like, there's just enough fun stuff that it's actually a really fun kind of, it's more of a light-hearted horror romp, I guess, because it never feels like there's any like dread per se. But if you want a movie where it's more just about like a fun sort of vampire like suburban adventure story, it works pretty well, and I have a good time with it, so it's snuck out of my list.
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit. Couldn't tell you why it didn't make my list. Maybe it's just been a while since I've seen it. Maybe I honestly forgot about it when I did the list.
That's very possible, Tim. It's very possible. All right, how about you hit us with your 89?
Oh, well, thank you very much. My number 89 is Bubba Hotep.
Hold!
Okay, all right, now we're cooking. Okay.
You son of a bitch. That's my first hold, Tim. I hope you realise that. By the way, that was number 36 for you last time.
Oh, there you go. Good showing this time around.
It's quite a drop for you, but we're not talking about it yet. All right, my number 89 is down just a little bit from 84, and that is Unfriended.
Hold.
Oh, Joe, I was starting to worry it's going to take ages because we're almost at an hour. But the holds are coming in now. The holds are coming in.
Yeah, I like this system, yeah.
The system's paying off. Okay. All right. What's your number 88?
Oh, let's see if we're going to go for a turkey if 3 holds in a row. My number 88 is The Changeling.
You may continue.
You, no taste to this guy. And by the way, I'm talking about the Changeling from 1980, not the
Yes.
Angelina Jolie movie that was written by J. Michael Straczynski.
This is a new entry for you, by the way.
Yeah, this is I actually rewatched this today. Because I was thinking about putting it on the list, but I wasn't quite sure, and it's been a while, and I had it on my mind because I think recently I had some I was listening to a podcast about it, and I almost bought it on Blu-ray, and I was and it was streaming somewhere, so I was debating it. And then I rewatched it. And I think it really does hold up. It's very much a slow burn, which might not make it for everyone. I might have even been a little harsh about that when we did our review, but it worked a lot more for me when I was watching it this time, just because I like the atmosphere. It's weirdly calming in a way, even though there's like creepy stuff that's happening. There's like this piano score in it that's, I don't know, it's actually really good. I like it. And then I also just kind of like that it stars like George C. Scott. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I like that it's like, oh, it's not a movie about like sexy young people running around. It's like, just like
I believe
this old guy.
in the review we referred to it as a gentleman's horror film.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, I like it. I think it's kind of like a classic haunted house movie. I think it's like a good atmosphere. George C. Scott is a great actor. There's even like some interesting stuff that I noticed now that like there's like a part where like this wheelchair is like racing towards this girl, and actually it reminded me a lot of like Sam Raimi. So like there's like just the way it was shot, and kind of zooming through. So there's like some interesting like touches here and there. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good movie.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I remember not loving it, but liking it, and thinking there was a lot of good moments in it, but didn't quite make my list, so here we are. My number 88 is Demons 2.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, which is down a bit from 61 last time. This is, Demons 1 is about zombies that come out of the movie in the movie theater and attack the people there, right? Which sounds like I should love it, and I do quite like it. It's a fun movie, but I actually think Demons 2 is better. I think Demons 2 takes the concept, and instead of a movie theater, it's the ultimate of TVs, but it's in an apartment building, so it's like a whole movie set in an apartment building, and something about just like, all these different neighbors sneaking from apartment to apartment and dealing with the zombies. Obviously, it's got some cheesy 80s Italian style antics going on, but the gore's really over the top. This is another one where I just dig the setting and the kind of the atmosphere and the zaniness of it so much. And only zany by by Italian standards, this is not zany at all. But compared to like a regular zombie movie, maybe that you'd see from the US, it has this very different tone to it. Good music, just enough style to just sort of make it really enticing. So I dig it.
I like this movie quite a bit. Again, did I maybe forget about it when making this list? Quite possibly. But no, I think this is a better picture. I really do like I think the first one has like the guy riding the motorcycle with the sword in the movie theater, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that. I mean, I do agree 2 is probably better, but man, that is such a cool scene.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think 2 is better paced as well. That was the other thing.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, 1's got some big moments, but it's a little bit start and stoppy with its momentum.
Now,
so
I believe that I think they were gonna do a third, and then I think the third ended up being a different movie. I want to say it's called like The Church.
I can't say I've seen it. No,
I have seen it, and I do like it, but I don't know if I'm conflating with something else. But I think that was supposed to be Demon 3, and then ended up being its own thing. But still worth checking out.
Interesting. All right, what is your number 87?
Ow. My number 87 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Oh, this is an interesting one because I ultimately decided that I wasn't going to count this as a horror movie, even though I understand why you did. I ultimately said, no, it's not. I'm not going to put it on the list, but I respect it because I love the movie. Like, this is not a knock on the movie.
Yeah, I think again, like I totally understand that as well, and I think the thing is I really wanted to make sure I wasn't just doing the same exact movies I did on the previous list, so I did make a concerted effort to put in like to include not like everything on the list is going to be like stuff from the last couple of years, but
hey Tim, to be fair, you've had what, like 9 or 10 new entries already, and we're only like 13 out of the list, so you're doing all right with that.
But yeah, I mean, this was a movie I really liked. It is it's probably more on the comedic side, but there's a cool werewolf plot to it, and
well, to be fair, I didn't discount it because it's funny. I discounted it for spoiler reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really get into it because of spoilers, but I mean, I still dig it a lot.
Oh, it's fantastic. I loved it. I immediately rushed out and saw Jim Cummings' other movie, where he's the police officer, and I saw his new movie, The Beta Test, soon after that came out. I
haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
and check that out.
They're all worth watching. They're all very good. Although I do like Wolf of Snow Hollow the best out of the three of them. And it's the only one that's kind of a horror movie. So. Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. My number 87 is down... No, it's up, actually. It's up a little bit from 94. And that is Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Okay, continue.
So, this is another silly pick. Obviously, this is not a good movie, per se. But this is another one that, when I saw this in theaters in 2013, I was laughing a lot. I was laughing consistently. It was cracking me up, because it was just a fun, silly slasher movie with characters making dumb choices, and sometimes that can be frustrating, but sometimes it can be really funny. The example I always bring up in this movie is they lock the barn door with like the plank of wood that goes into the sort of the holders, and they're being chased by Leatherface, who's got a chainsaw, which is designed for cutting wood. Like, there's just moments that are just absolutely absurd. It goes some wild places with the plot. You got Alexander Daddario in the sort of the lead sort of final girl-esque role. There's a few other faces that are recognizable, but I just think it's good dumb fun. And like, watching it again for the show when we were doing all the Texas Chainsaws in 2017, funnily enough, when we did the last top 100, I was like, oh, this holds up. This wasn't just that first time in the theater. Like, I was having a blast watching this the second. If anything, I was enjoying it quicker because I knew the good stuff was coming. I think the first time I saw it, there was the first 20 minutes or so where it's like, we're doing all the setup and the characters are just kind of whatever. But once it gets going, and you've got just dumb decisions, and there's a whole sequence where the sheriff's talking to a cop who's gone into the house to investigate this big trail of blood. So he's sort of giving him directions and commentary as the cop's going around. And some of the lines in that were even cracking me up. Some were intentionally funny, and some were just funny because, oh, this is dumb. And I just have a blast with it. I even liked the new Texas Chainsaw that came out just last year. It's not a good movie, but like, I got some fun kill scenes, and Leatherface was big and intimidating. Like, I don't know. I'll take it over the remake any day of the week, but that's me.
Yeah, this is such a weird franchise where I feel like, I disagree with a lot of kind of the more mainstream opinions. Like, like everyone was railing on that last movie so hard, but actually, I agree. I thought it was pretty fun. And then,
I mean, come on, that Jaws bit where the chainsaw's coming through the floor at her, or the bus with all the influencers, that was great stuff.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with you with 3D. I actually debated putting on the list, and then you just kind of missed out. But I do enjoy that one quite a bit. In a similar way to. Like Jason Takes Manhattan, where I feel like I kind of have to defend it a lot of time because I feel like it gets unjustly shit on, but it's super fun. And like, I talked about with like The Howling, how maybe the brand got hurt a little bit with the sequels being so bad. I think like this one actually is kind of strengthened with some of like how bad some of the sequels get, because like it makes this one stand out more, that I'm like, oh yeah, no, like they weren't all just like shit after like the second one or whatever. Like this one was like legitimately like a nice breath of fresh air. And and I agree that the remake is definitely, I don't hate it, but it's definitely not the as good as people make it out to be.
That
Especially
was the
with time.
opposite of everything. Like we've got these movies where like with like Fright Night where we're like, hey, we both liked this more than we thought we did. This has actually gotten better.
Yeah.
The Texas Chainsaw remake, when we did that on the show, we both went into that thinking, oh yeah, I remember this being all right. This is one of the better ones in the franchise, and we both like sat there and were just miserable talking about it because we hated it.
Yep.
I think that's just a simple case of we were both like teenagers when that came out, so clearly our taste was still developing and we hadn't quite like discovered what we liked and disliked, you know.
I also think that's maybe why a lot of people still like it, because they're like, oh no, I like it because I saw it as a teenager and it was good then. And have you watched it lately?
I don't even get me started on the beginning or Leatherface, the prequel from 2017. We don't want to discuss those abominations. Anyway, that was my 87, up from 94. What is your number 86, Tim?
That would be 28 Days Later.
Is that an attempt at an accent? You may continue. Also, that is another new entry. You're firing these new entries out left and right, Tim.
Yeah, I think, did we do it on the show recently, or am I?
Well, maybe a year and a half ago now, but yeah, relatively recently.
No, I mean, I think this movie is really good, except for, I think we talked about it in the review, but it was...
the third act, I hate the third act, Tim.
Yeah, the third act isn't great, but just the it just doesn't look great though. The movie.
Of course, yeah. The shot in like consumer standard definition digital video from 2001 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and again, like another thing where I don't remember noticing that at the time. I don't know if it's because watching it with crazy HD TVs nowadays or whatever, that it stands out more, but.
Oh, absolutely. Because when you were watching this back in the day, you were watching everything in standard definition, so
yeah,
it probably didn't stick out that much, but these days it sticks out so much compared to anything else you're watching that was shot in film.
And it's just a shame because everything else about the movie I think is a real joy. I think there's some really good filmmaking there. I like the, it's a simple zombie premise, but I think it's very effective. It was kind of the first time we got like stuff like, and I mean, some people are like, well, they're not zombies, they're like rage virus people, whatever, same thing. But that's like kind of the first time we saw like, those kind of things where they're like fast and running at you, which like was kind of a new, interesting concept at the time. And yeah, I think there was like a lot of creepy, like atmosphere, and like, it was really interesting seeing like, parts of London just like completely empty. Like that, yeah, it was a very impressive, feat of filmmaking. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I agree. The third act is kind of weak. I wouldn't say I hate it as much as you do, but I do agree that's like, yeah, the weakest part of the film. It's more interesting, yeah, seeing him wake up and like walk out into this world, and yeah, a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah. I just don't like the third act. I never have, so it's just never been super high on my list for that reason. But yeah, my number 86 is down from 48, and that is Intruder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the Sam Raimi produced it, and Bruce Campbell's got a cameo, but it's Ted Raimi's in it, and it's a slasher movie set at a supermarket that's closing down soon, and you've got like the 7 or 8 employees who are there like past closing hours to do inventory or something like that. They're there for some work reason, but there's a killer, killing people off, and it's just, in a lot of ways, this is just kind of the perfect blend of like, we've said this a few times about a few of our earlier entries here, but those cheesy 80s characters and their weird logic, their weird like horniness and obsessing about various things. Ted Raimi being, I think he's like the stock boy in this, and then you've got like the assistant manager who's trying to like, I don't know, he's up to something, or I can't remember exactly what he's doing, but he's like he's making deals to close the place down or whatever, and it seems like whoever's doing the killings is is tied to the fact that this place is shutting down. This one's got a lot of POV kills, because it's one that keeps the killer a secret. It's kind of I won't call it a whodunit per se, but it definitely has a reveal of who the killer is later on. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun setting. Again, it's a fun like one location movie where You're going up and down the aisles of the supermarket. It's a fun place. It introduces outside threats, but even though people can see in, if the place is locked up, it's all these glass doors, but they can't quite get in. So there's some interesting playing with the barriers around things, and plus they have some fun with like the various like stuff that that you'd get in the back of a supermarket, like the big sort of conveyor belts and stuff for the packages and all the rest of it. They have fun using all that.
Yeah, I remember really liking this movie. I think the thing is I do need to see it like one or two more times before. Yeah, I could maybe include it on like a list or a ranking like this, because I remember liking it, but I really don't remember much other than like, oh yeah, you have the Sam Raimi connection, and then the setting was really cool. I remember like some interesting shots. Like I think there was just a shot from like inside a rotary telephone, which is just like, all right, I feel like you didn't need to do that, but
yeah, I think that there may be one from a door handle as well. Now I'm thinking about it at one point.
So it's definitely like cool stuff like that. But yeah, it's one I've thought about like getting on like a Blu-ray and stuff every now and again when I see it, and maybe I will at some point and give it a watch again.
Yeah, I've got the Blu-ray over on the horror shelves.
Yes.
All right, what's your number 85?
All right, so this will be a new entry. It's one I like quite a bit, and that is Deadstream.
You may continue.
So I thought this was a really fun one. We must have done it, probably like a year or two ago, I guess at this point.
Whoa. We never reviewed Deadstream, Tim.
We didn't?
I don't think we did.
Oh, maybe we didn't. Okay.
I think we just both saw it independently and talked about it a little bit. I don't think we've ever done it on the show, so it's on the to-do list at some point.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be a fun one to do. But yeah, I like this one quite a bit.
I'm going to double check because you've got me paranoid now. But.
Yeah, I mean, this is really fun. You have it's very Evil Dead-esque. I feel like in a lot of it's set pieces. You have this kind of disgraced YouTuber guy who's like in this haunted house by himself, and a lot of freaky stuff starts happening. And it really like puts him through the ringer. And I thought there's like some generally cool, creepy moments. There's a lot of really funny moments. There's like some really cool gore. And yeah, I think this is a very fun one.
Yeah, I can confirm we did not do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. I must have just talked about maybe on like Even More Screams or something.
Yeah, I imagine so. So it's still all there to be done at some point.
Cool.
Good time. Yeah, no, I like the movie a lot, and I thought about it sneaking onto the list, and I just kind of decided that I'd have to see it again because I don't remember how I felt about how it ended per se. But a lot of like the main character's antics and like his personality was a lot of fun. So I respect the pick. I absolutely respect it. So very good.
Respect the pick.
My number 85 is The Final Girls.
Okay.
Which is this is the first time this has happened. This is exactly the same number. This was 85 as well in 2017. So this is your last action hero but slasher movie. I think it's got a lot of heart. It plays on the horror movie tropes. Of course, it's more of a horror comedy, but it does have that whole element where it's this young girl who is seeing a character who is played by her dead mum in this movie that she transports into, so she has this like extra reason to try and protect her. So it's this kind of, and I remember this coming from the fact that the writer of the movie, like his father or grandfather was in something
in the Exorcist.
Was it? That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that idea is there. You've got Adam Levine in there as well. He's very memorable as like the 80s douchebag, and they do a lot of jokes where the 80s characters in the movie are really like slightly problematic, but all the modern like teenagers are like, we've moved on from this a little bit. But no, it's like I love some of the way it plays with the tropes, and like they try and lure out the killer at one point by having the slutty character like just be slutty at the window. Just fun ideas like that. It really playful. But I think what surprised me about when we saw it and we talked about it on the show is just how much it made me want to root for the main character. By the time it turns into this big fight at the end, it's like, oh no, I'm kind of rooting for her to win now because she's got a motivation to fight. It's not just she's trying to survive, and I thought that was quite good. Got a good script.
Yeah, there's more to it than just the premise alone, which is something you can have a lot of fun with. But I think the thing that's kind of surprising is they did have a lot of character moments and heart to it, which you don't always get with these big premise kind of movies. So yeah, it's a really good one. I enjoy that one.
I mean, we just got Totally Killer, and one of the main things is that we could compare it to this, and it's like, yeah, it's lacking compared to this because it doesn't have that extra element. So
yeah.
All right, what is your number 84?
So I don't know if we've done this one on the show yet, but it's a movie I quite enjoy. That is The Boy.
You son of a bitch! How dare you subvert expectations? What did you give that last time? Oh gosh, it went up. That was number 90 for you last time.
Okay. Do I need to hold it or?
You may continue.
Yeah, I think this is a solid film from William Brent Bell. And yeah, I mean, what is there to say that we haven't said already about it on the show? Fun movie, creepy atmosphere, great little doll puppet. But I mean, yeah, I've said this before, and I'll say it to my dying breath. What really sells this movie for me is the ending. Like, up until then, I thought, like, all right, this is a pretty good movie, but it's just kind of, average or whatever so far. But then the ending to me is so unexpected and buck wild that it just made me fall in love with it. I was like, yes, like, I love this zaniness and where it's going. Like, more of this, please. And yeah, it's interesting to see like the start of a franchise like in your lifetime, like when you're old enough to appreciate franchises and like you see someone like Brahms who you just know is going to be a star.
I can't believe you just the sentence. You really see something like this in your lifetime. Oh, come on now. Shut up. That stupid ass movie does not belong on any top 100 unless it's the worst 100 of the last decade or something like that. Oh. All right, my number 84.
I also enjoy it a lot because you seem to not like it. So.
Oh, I got that impression, Tim. You seem to enjoy poking the bear, as it were. My number 84 is The New York Ripper.
Oh, cool.
Which is down from 43. It's another big drop. Yeah, this is a Lucio Fulci movie. So a serial killer, it's a giallo. You got detectives investigating the case. But of course, this is the one that you might remember for the killer who only talks like
duck.
like like Daffy Duck specifically. No, Donald Duck. Daffy's the Warner Brothers one. Donald Duck, the Disney one, is like I can't even do it. I can't. Nah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's like you said before, completely normal for Italians, but for like. Anyone else, it's like, what is this?
Yeah, but it's got some really memorable scenes though. It's obviously got a lot of style because it's Fulci, it's this giallo, but like the killer is pretty heinous in this. Like there's a whole razor blade through a nipple scene which will be remembered once you see it.
Oof.
So yeah. I think it's got the style. I think it's got the interesting sort of killer who's got his own little gimmicks, mainly the sound and the phone call stuff. But I remember just like. This was my second Fulci movie. It was very different from the first thing that I saw from him, and I just remember thinking, oh, this is actually really cool and different. Obviously, I think at the time I hadn't seen a lot of Argento yet, and obviously this fits into a similar mold as to a lot of Argento. I'm actually realizing something that I should have put in the list now that I forgot. Oh well.
I think I know what you're thinking of.
I'm like, shit, I didn't even think about Argento. Oh well. Mistakes are had, mistakes are made. But that would bump Slumber Party Massacre at least off the list, and that'd be a shame. So, yeah, New York Ripper, I think is pretty cool, and obviously it's got that gritty 70s New York vibe to it as well, which
I love that.
Nice setting. Everything's very sleazy. There's a lot of walking down 40. I think it's 42nd Street was all the porn theaters and stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I miss that New York. I like similar to like Jason Takes Manhattan. Like I like my New York to just have random like toxic waste everywhere. Just it should feel dangerous. Like, well, may I go now, sir?
83 on you go.
This also might be a little controversial. I don't know if people are gonna say like, oh, it's not as much of a horror movie or whatever. But my number 83 is Psycho Goreman. Which is
okay.
A little bit more on the comedic side, but it's almost like the horrific version of like kind of like Power Rangers or something, where you have like this kid that inadvertently gets control of this like interdimensional alien, like Hellraiser kind of being that must like obey her command.
Yeah, I mean, we did say we'd do it in the show at some point, and it's kind of been lost in the shuffle. So it's still.
Did we not do it either? I thought we did it.
No, we didn't. We didn't do that one. What's interesting is me and Tara just recently on Ace did Turbo Kid, and one of the things that I didn't realize when I saw, because Turbo Kid was first, right? But watching Turbo Kid now that I've seen Psycho Gorman, I was like, you know what? These, like, they're different in terms of plot and that, but the vibe they're going for is kind of similar. They've got this kind of over the top retro sci-fi kind of aesthetic, and you know, I was getting some similar vibes in the sense of humor in both movies. But yeah, Psycho Gorman's a lot of fun. I actually didn't even think of it, and probably not that I'm disagreeing that it's not enough of a horror movie, but I think that made me not think of it though. Is it never popped in my head, but I did like it a lot though. So PG for short, everyone. PG for short.
Right.
But yeah,
you know, that's another thing too. Maybe one of the reasons why sometimes I think we did an episode about it is because I wonder if it's maybe a trailer that we talked about on one of the bonus episodes or something.
I think so, and I'm sure it probably came up a little bit somewhere here or there. But we should do it at some point. It's a lot of fun, and it's got, you know, in a world full of movies that have horrible kids in them, I love the evil little bitch that's in this movie.
Yeah,
like she's great.
I think like for me, like it is very comedic, but for me, like the horror elements, like there's like definitely like body horror and gore enough in there that like to me that it would count for something like this. But hey, that's just me.
No, that's fine. I get it. I get it. That was a new entry, obviously, because it's a new movie relative to when the last list was done. So my number 83 is another slasher movie from the 80s, and it is it's down by one. It was 82 last time. And that is New Year's Evil.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, okay, all right. This is a fun premise, this one. This is New Year's Eve, and the killer calls into this, countdown to midnight show on the West Coast and says that he's going to kill someone at the stroke of midnight for every time zone in the US. So when it hits midnight on the East Coast, he kills someone. It hits it Central, I guess, is next. He kills someone, so on and so on. And then it's also a building up to him maybe coming after the this sort of TV host that's doing this party, this woman. And I vividly remember when we did the review, Tim didn't understand that Tim thought that he was actually traveling from each time zone to commit the murders and not just doing them at the right time, and wondering how he got across the country that quickly.
I still say it's confusing.
This is just a really fun premise. I think what's interesting about it is that the killer, there is like a little bit of a reveal, but it's not like a face reveal. You actually see the killer like throughout a lot of the movie, and he sort of like goes to pick up a woman at a bar and tries to like find someone so he can then kill them. And it's like, wait, he's gonna like chat. He's so confident he's going to chat someone up in an hour, so so he kills them at the right minute. That's actually quite ballsy. But I love the gimmick. This is again another slasher movie with a gimmick that just kind of ties it all together. It makes it a lot of fun. Plus, the idea that it keeps coming back to this countdown show for New Year's, it is easily like, there's a few other horror movies set in New Year's Eve. This is easily the only one that actually feels like a New Year's movie, because there's not a lot to do with New Year's. Christmas, you got Christmas decorations. You can do something with presents. There's a lot of things you can do to make it feel Christmassy. New Year's, I feel like the countdown to midnight's the only thing you've really got, and this entire movie is built around the countdown to midnight. So, good fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I almost wish it became a franchise, because we have so few New Year's horror movies. It'd be nice. If there's a couple more.
Yeah. You could just name it with the years, like New Year's Evil 1992 or whatever the next one would be.
Yeah.
So that is good fun. So what is your number 82?
That would be Reanimator, the classic.
Hold.
Okay. All right.
You hold that shit. You secure that shit, Tim.
Got it.
You secure that ship. Although, here, I'll tell you that last time you had it at 26.
Oh, okay.
So, down quite a bit from before. All right.
That is.
We'll move on. Okay. We'll talk about that later. My number 82 Another slasher. There's a lot of slasher movies in my like low, my low numbers, and that is The Prowler, which is down a little bit. It was 77 last time. This is from the same director as the fourth Friday the 13th. This is what he did before that movie. And I remember liking it, but when we did it for the show, and when I say we did it for the show in like episode 7, right? This was like way back at the start. Yeah. It's probably worth doing again, given that times were very different back at the start. But I remember it's like, oh shit, these kills are great. This has got some of the best kills of any early 80s slasher movie. You know, it's like, the only thing that kind of sucks about it is that the killer's like get up. He's meant to be like this ex-soldier kind of thing, and he's got like a mask on. It just looks a bit plain, so it doesn't have the iconic mask or anything that some of the other slasher villains do. But the kills are great, and it's got all the 80s characters. It revolves mostly around like dorm rooms and stuff. The kills like killing people in, but there's a great kill in a shower. There's like blades going all the way through people's heads. There's some fun tense stuff towards the end with the chasing of the final girl. It's basically got all the key ingredients of a good 80s slasher movie, but with the great kills to kind of really back it up, which is probably what gets it above some of these other slasher movies that I've brought up already, is that this one has those kills. So, yeah, straightforward. I don't have much to add. But
yeah, I'd like to redo it for the show, because I remember not being super big on it, but it was so long ago that, probably would be due for a rewatch. 'Cause I really don't remember much about it.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, it was like, what, 8 years ago?
I want to say there was like a memorable kill in a shower, I think, but...
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right,
cool. 81?
My 81, so there's a little film called Us.
You may continue, and it's obviously a new entry, so...
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was new, because it would have been at least a couple of years old, but
I'll put it this way, Tim. Get Out wasn't even out. Well, actually, no, Get Out was out when we did the last list, but only just.
Okay. So I mean, obviously Jordan Peele made like a really big impression with Get Out, so I feel like there's a lot of hype for this movie, and I remember coming out of the theater being like, wow, like I'm pretty floored by it, but like, okay, like, you know, this guy's not a one-hit wonder. He is he's doing something really interesting here. And then I was kind of surprised that I feel like it's a pretty mixed one. Like, there are definitely people that like it, but I feel like there's a lot of people that also are not huge fans. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think it's an interesting premise. Like, I don't know, like doppelgangers are just something that's kind of interesting and eerie to me. I think obviously Jordan Peele is like a very good director, so it's like, it looks really good. It has like good music, some creepy parts, some creepy gore, and I don't know. I just find it like this is like another kind of movie that I just think is really interesting and kind of fun to think about. So yeah, I've always been kind of surprised that some people are a little more harsh on it, but
I mean,
I like it.
I think it's the weakest of his three. But I do still like a lot of it. I just think some of the plot is a bit iffy towards the end and like stuff.
Sure.
But there's a lot of good creepy moments though. The horror direction is on point as the other movies have been. So I can't fault it. Like if I was doing my top 200, it probably would be in the next 100, which I don't know what that says at that point. But yeah. Cool. So my number 81. We're back to a holiday theme movie. This is down one space again. This is from 80 last time to 81 this time. That is Christmas Evil.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'll continue. I love this weird little movie. It's this character who's obsessed with Christmas, about the sanctity of Christmas, and he loves Santa Claus. He's got his decorations up in July, and he works at a toy factory. And everyone else who works there are just, regular grunts who don't care about anything except their paycheck and so on. But this guy loses his cool, goes a little psychotic. He starts delivering presents himself to children around the city, but ends up killing some people as well, right? Goes on a rampage. And I think the way I described it last time we talked about it is that it's kind of like almost Taxi Driver-esque, but the guy's obsessed with Christmas and being Santa Claus. And then on top of that, like, it is very Christmassy in vibe, not just because he's dressed as Santa and everything else, but it's talking about Christmas constantly. And the ending, which I will not spoil, is one of the most out of nowhere, batshit like you did not see that coming endings where it's just like, oh, they just did that, and it always leaves a smile in my. I've seen this movie like 3 times now, and it's only just gotten more enjoyable each time. Like I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, I like it as well. I think one of the things that's kind of weird to me about it is I feel like the ending is like the big thing that I always remember, and that I feel like I always forget like a lot of the rest of the movie, which doesn't mean I don't like it, but I think that is something that kind of keeps it off the list for me. Is that
Okay.
yeah, maybe I just need to watch it a few more times, or maybe it's been a while, but yeah, I will say though, like I totally agree. The ending is so great and so out of nowhere. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. So what is your number 80, Tim?
So maybe another controversial pick. But I do like to have like a list that does have, a fair amount of like representation and has like a lot of like different kind of genres and styles and stuff. So my number 80 is Vampire Hunter D, which is an anime, and
you had this last time, Tim.
Okay,
this was number 45 last time.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really talk about that much because I don't think it usually doesn't come up on the show, but I'm actually like I love horror movies and everything, but I'm also a pretty big animation nerd. I really like animation, especially traditional 2D drawn animation, and I like a lot of anime, and this is like a really cool anime from the 80s. So obviously there's a lot of like action to it, so I know people might be like, oh well, it's more of an action thing, but I mean it's it's about a vampire hunter who's trying to protect this girl from vampires. So there's lots of really cool monster designs, and I think there's like actually some creepy moments and stuff in it, in between kind of like the action and vampire hunting. But I just think it looks really cool, and I'm a fan of it.
I've never seen it. I cannot comment.
Not surprised.
It looked like an anime, Tim, so I didn't go near it. What can I say? My number 80 is an obvious new entry. And I kind of debated having this one on here just because, well, it makes more sense later. But my number 80 is Pearl.
Okay.
Yeah. This is obviously fairly recent. I actually kind of avoided anything from this year just because I felt they were all too fresh to really think about. But Pearl obviously was tail end of last year, and it's the prequel to X, and it's Mia Goth just giving this, fantastic performance of this young girl who wants to be an actress and doing anything to make it happen. It's a slow burn because it's not this movie where she's doing crazy stuff the whole time, but you can sort of see her becoming more and more desperate and unhinged, and the way it builds up to its final kind of act and some big moments towards the end, and not just horror movie stuff, but even just there's like a monologue from her that takes place over about 8 minutes where the camera just sits in her face and it's just her acting for 8 minutes, and it's really good. It's really well done. It's a slow burn character movie that builds into a horror character over the course of the film, and if you've seen X, kind of like where that goes further. So but it was really well done. I think Ty West is he did like one movie everyone liked, and then he did a few things that were a bit more middling as far as how they were received, and then 2022 he just comes out swinging with with 2 movies, and here we are. So that's Pearl.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for Maxine. I hope we get it next year. I don't know if there's a release date, but
I am also excited. I feel like it's probably next year, but then again, all these strikes going on, who knows if things are going to get pushed. But hey, there you go. That's my number 80. What is your number 79?
So it's a movie that I know you're not a super big fan of, because I think recently a friend was asking us about it and you're kind of like but my number 79 is Funhouse. This is a Tobe Hooper movies. Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding.
Okay.
I only did that because you said before, I don't think you like this very much. I was like, I'm going to mess with them. This appears to be a new entry for you as well, Tim.
Oh, cool. So this is another one that kind of, I forget if it takes place exactly on Halloween, but it is like a very autumn, like fall movie. Like, it's characters that are going to this kind of like fall carnival. So it has like those strong vibes for me that I like. Essentially, it's about like some kids who may or may not witness a murder involving like this kind of freak at the carnival, and then it's kind of them running around like after hours, and I don't know, I just got like the vibe and the setting of it, and I don't know, I'm a big fan of Toby Hooper. Even though like he's done a lot of stuff that's not great, but I think this is a pretty strong entry, and it's like I don't know, one of those movies I always like coming back to around this time of year. It's, I don't know, I just like the vibe of it.
Okay. I'll be honest, Tim, I do not remember a single thing. I know I've seen it, but I don't remember anything about it. So maybe I'd feel differently if I see it again, but as of right now, I have no opinion, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Oh well. Number 79 for me is down a little bit from 73, and that is Final Destination 2.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one.
Oh,
but you may continue though.
I was expecting a hold there. Okay, I'm very surprised by that. All
Again,
right.
I may have forgotten about it when I did the list.
Yeah, I think this is the best one in the franchise. I think the deaths are way more fun than the first one. I think it has the right balance and tone, whereas the first one was taking itself a bit too seriously that it feels kind of hammy. I think 2 just feels that there's just enough of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge sense of humor to it. The elaborate, it's more about the fun of seeing how the elaborate deaths are going to happen and the chain reaction. The opening set piece on the highway with all the car crash stuff is fantastic. So much of it is practical as well, something that has obviously eroded over the last couple decades in terms of movies being made. Everyone remembers the kitchen scene, the fence. There's so many like memorable set piece moments. The dentist even is another one. Like there's a lot of great big. We're going to splurge our budget on these effects and have fun with the kills. And then some of the characters are actually quite fun to be around. Unlike the first movie, when we did all these movies last year, I found most of the characters in the first one to be kind of irritating. So, yeah, 2.
Yeah, this was such a surprise when we went back to the franchise because I had not remembered, like it being this good. It really is. It's easily the best, of the series, and that's surprised me. And weren't we supposed to get a new one? What happened with that?
The reason we did them all is because we were expecting a new one in October last year, and it's still in the works apparently. But at least we're ready when the time comes, Tim.
Okay.
I mean, I had more fun going through those 5 movies than I did Subspecies, so.
It's fair.
Yes. All right, what is your number 78?
That would be Zombie.
Hold!
Okay.
And that means Zombie 2, specifically.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's because of the different titles. Yeah.
Is it Flesh Eaters also?
Zombie Flesh Eaters in the UK, yeah. You don't actually have that from last time. That's a new entry for you.
Ooh, I you know what, I think it was when we did it for the show, which I think was like a few years ago now. But I think doing it on the show, I was like, oh wow, this is. And I'd seen it before, but yeah, that really made it stand out when we did it.
Yeah, so that was 78, wasn't it? Yeah. All right, my number 78 then. We're back to festivities because it's Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is down from 69 from last time. So, yeah, obviously 2 is got the big famous scene, right? The rampage down the street, the garbage day, all that stuff, right? Yes, the highlights in 2 are phenomenal, but half of it's just repeating the first movie. I like the first movie a lot. I love this like build, this trauma, including Santa Claus, which a lot of Christmas horror movies do, but this is maybe the one that does it the best, or at least the most fun, where you've got this killer dressed as Santa going around yelling "naughty" as he kills people, and there's beheadings of kids who are on what do we call it, going down snow.
Oh, right, on the sled.
On the sled, that's the word, sledding. That's what I was looking for. And then you've got just this like evil nun who's personally responsible for how effed up this kid is in the head. Like, she has just made him psychotic the way she treated him as a child. And so I think that's all really funny in a really kind of dark way. But yeah, and you go.
I mean, what's so interesting about it is it's actually like a pretty reluctant killer, but it's just life has been so shitty to this person for no reason. Like that it's like it's almost forcing him to become like a crazy serial killer.
Yeah, the fact that he's asked, because he gets a job at a toy store when he's 18, and he says, the manager's like, hey, the guy who was going to play Santa couldn't make it, so you're going to have to do it. And like, it's like, don't force him to do that. He went to Santa Claus kill his parents. He's got some psyche issues there. So even the fact that it forces him out of the outfit, and that's partly what makes him snap and sort of goes into a killer. I just find it very fun, and I've watched this like 4 or 5 times now, and it's pretty endlessly rewatchable, to be honest. It's just got that right charm, the right type of acting, the right type of goofy kind of elements to the plot, but enough meat on the bone to really kind of enjoy.
It's a lot of fun. I think the problem for me with doing this list is I'm still in Halloween mode. I couldn't, I couldn't get too much into Christmas mode. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, the Christmas horror movies deserve to be included here, okay?
They're great, but yeah, I mean, if we did this list in December, it'd be much different.
All of a sudden, Jack Frost 2 is in your top 10. All right, yeah, Filthy Animal. What's number 77?
That would be the Gary Busey classic Silver Bullet,
which is down a little bit for you. That was 73 last time.
Oh, okay.
So,
I just like seeing your face light up at the mention of Gary Busey.
Oh, you know me. I love a bit of Gary Busey.
But no, I mean, this is based on a Stephen King. You know what's interesting is originally this was supposed to be a calendar. This story, like, which I don't know if there's like any other movie that can say that. Like,
what a weird, useless fact you've just whipped out.
Like, some people approach Stephen King and they're like, hey, we want you to do a calendar for us. Like, each month, like, it'll be like a horror story. Like, each month you'll have like different, like, little paragraph and like a drawing and stuff. And like, and Stephen King was like, that's ridiculous. But you know what? I kind of like the idea of like doing a story where it's like each month, we'll like follow a thing. So he basically came up with this, and so it's a short. I don't know if you'd call it like a novella or something, but it's short. It has really good artwork by Bernie Wrightson. But I think this is a really, really fun werewolf picture. I really like the look of the wolf in this. I like the mystery of finding out who it is. Gary Busey is actually kind of subdued in this, but it is.
There's
still
a
fun,
rocket-powered wheelchair at one point.
I mean, that's, yeah, I was building up to that, but yeah, that's definitely a part of the selling point. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really like. I think it's one of the stronger werewolf movies out there. Awoo.
Awoo. Very good. All right, my number 77 is a definite new entry, and that is Saint Maud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this one.
I did.
You did, yeah. I actually almost forgot this. I was just kind of like going over the last few years again, see if I missed anything that I should consider. And I spotted this and went, oh yeah, I actually really liked that movie because it was a really good slow burn of this devout nun / nurse. Moreover, actually, she's not really a nun; she's a nurse, but she's very devout and religious, and she wants to like help her patient, and she's very sexually repressed. And it's one of those movies where you can take like her hearing this demon's voice in her head as either literal, as she's been, basically manipulated by something satanic or a demon, or you can take it as, no, this is her own messed up head, and like because she's been so repressed and she's been so hard on herself, and we see examples of her trying to date and trying to interact with others, and it always kind of comes crashing down when it hurts inside. And honestly, the ending, like the last like 10 minutes, is absolutely fantastic. Like the big climactic stuff that the movie does with what she ultimately is going to choose to do for her patient and for herself, and then kind of like some sort of ambiguous things that maybe happen right at the very end. I think it's really well done, and the movie kind of had me hooked, especially the more it went in. I thought it was a really good character study movie of someone who was kind of similar to Darling, I suppose, in a way, where it's like this sort of like insight into this one very flawed person, and you sort of start to understand how they're flawed, how they think, and what bad things that might lead to. It's very good. It's a British horror movie from 2018 or 2019. You hated it then?
I I really don't remember much about it. I remember it being hyped up a lot, and I just remember it not really doing much for me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was in a weird headspace, or maybe I wasn't paying attention when I watched it or something. Because it's like we didn't do it for the show, so
No.
maybe I was more casually watching it, and
Maybe,
I missed some
you know,
stuff. I don't know.
It's okay for you to not like things that I like, Tim, but it's definitely better than The Boy, and that's what's important here. So
I mean, I think a lot of people do like it, which is, I don't know, like sometimes when I'm like, when there's something that's seems to be like a lot of people are talking about and loving it, and then I don't like it, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe I missed something.
maybe you did, but don't miss your number 76, Tim, which is next.
That would be Host, from 2020.
Oh, yeah, so that's a new entry, obviously. You may continue.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting time. It was kind of like, at the height of or very early on in the pandemic. So it was interesting to see something new, and especially something that was about that. Like, it's the whole thing takes place over Zoom, which, is something that a lot of people were starting to do and get used to. So it's like, it's gimmicky, but I think it's a gimmick that, worked, and, in a very interesting way, and was something kind of new and different. And then there's like some legitimate, it's a basic story, it's like a, seance kind of thing that they're doing, and then awaken some spirits, but you get some legitimately like creepy stuff out of it, and it actually uses like the platform really interestingly, so solid pick.
Yeah, it was an interesting little movie that I thought was very effective for a movie that was made during quarantine, where everyone had to basically just film their own stuff at their own house.
Yeah,
it was very effective for what it was, and I had a good time watching it. But yeah, I wouldn't rank it super high though. But yeah, it was good. I'm not trying to poo-poo anything, Tim. Okay. Yeah. All right. My number 76 is down a little from 67, and that is Child's Play 2.
Oh, hold.
I thought that might be a hold. There you go. Okay. Well, in that case, what's your number 75?
So I know this is one we disagree about, but god damn it, I love it, and that is Drag Me to Hell.
Okay, sure.
Number one Raimi fanboy over here. Obviously, it's not as good as the Evil Dead movies, but I think this was like a really solid return to horror for the Horror Meister, and
the Horror Meister. Which, by the way, before you continue, that is down just a little from number 69 last time.
So it's interesting because I purposely did not look at my list when I was making this new one, because I didn't want to be influenced by it. So it's interesting when stuff kind of lines up in a very similar area without looking. But I mean, I think this is really solid. It has a lot of good gore and antics. There's a goat in it. It's a
so Heiga Zuza's coming up then, is it? That was the one with the goat milking, Tim. You really like that.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil my number one, but yeah.
Oh, look at him, he's all flustered because I brought up the goat milking scene.
No, god damn it. I just noticed a movie I may have on here twice that I will have to fix. But
oh no.
We'll have to do that next show.
No one will know, Tim. No one will know. Just slot in something you forgot to put in, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Let me highlight that. So, Drag Me to Hell, I think is a lot of fun. I love, like the gore. There's some dodgy CGI in it, but whatever. I mean, other than that, I think that's it's really cool Sam Raimi movie with stuff in it.
Okay. What a cutting critique of an analysis that was. It's got stuff in it. I love stuff meat. It's the best. All right, my number 75 is a definite new entry because it only came out in this last period, and that is a little indie film called They Look Like People. Which,
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah,
okay.
we've done it in the show. This is something I discovered whilst I was streaming, and it was just kind of like a random watch because it was on like Prime or something like that, and I ended up kind of loving it. It's this little movie about a guy and his best friend. Right, they're adults, but they were friends as kids, and his best friend's down on his luck and ends up coming to stay with him for a while because he's having hard times. And the guy is basically disturbed and thinks he keeps saying that people are being replaced by aliens or something like that. He thinks people around him are being taken over, to the point where it's maybe a very dangerous delusion. And it's very much it's a horror movie, but it's very much, again, a sort of psychological study of someone who might just be breaking down, but how dangerous that might be to the people around them. And apparently it's had a lot of acclaim for being a really, really good and authentic portrayal of someone who has that kind of delusions and how it can affect the people around them. And I think some of the big dramatic points towards the end of the story, when it does get quite tense, are really well handled. And it does all this without a lot of money. It's mostly taking place in an apartment in a couple of outside areas. You can sort of feel it's a little cheap, but it never diminishes anything because it kind of works. It feels like this intimate little horror drama about the horrors of mental illness. It's kind of unique and different, and it does a lot to set up how close these guys once were and how they're kind of rekindling that friendship and how you're hoping that his influence might help this guy out. And obviously there's the part of you that's like, but is it all real? Is he right? Is there aliens taking people over? But I almost forgot about this one, and I was looking through stuff from the last few years. I went, oh wait, I really liked that. That was a really cool little movie. So I'm looking forward to doing it in the show at some point, just to sort of analyze it properly and talk about it. But you might hate it though, because it's it's psychological. So
yeah, that sounds awful to me. I was trying to rack my head if I've seen this before. I don't think I have. Because when you started off, the premise sounded like maybe something I might have seen, but then I think it kind of went off. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to. Honestly, I'll have to go through our 2 top 100s and flag everything that we've not done and sort of put it on a short list, so that whenever we need a random episode, we can pick from those and give the audience some good movies for a change, unlike Subspecies 5. So, what is your number 74, Timmy?
So this is one that I think we kind of disagreed on. I like these movies a little bit more than you, although I forget if there was a big divide or not. But my number 74 is Scream 6. Really, these last two entries I thought have been a breath of fresh air, and I was actually surprised at how much I've dug them, and I've dug the new characters and yeah, kind of like the story and stuff. And so I was kind of debating if I should do the 5th one or the 6th one on the list, but I did like the 6th one better. It was nice to get a new setting and to follow around some of these characters that I'd grown to like from the last one. I think there's some really gnarly kills. I liked some parts where the story went. There's some gripes here and there, but overall I thought this was a really solid entry into a franchise that I honestly was never the hugest fan of. I like the earlier movies, but they're never my go-to franchise, as it seems to be with a lot of other kind of people around my age. But yeah, I've really liked these last couple ones.
I mean, I think we were pretty in line on 6. It was 5 that we were kind of split on. I thought 6 I thought 6's location and set pieces were a lot better. So even though the convoluted, who's the killer nonsense towards the end was iffy as it always is, I enjoy 6 for the most part.
Okay.
And it's probably the 2nd or 3rd best in the series, to be honest, if I'm really forced to think about it. But yeah, interesting. Obviously, that was a new entry because it's a new movie. So very cool. All right, my number 74, which is down just a few slots from number 70, is Get Out.
Hold.
I thought it might be, Tim, just a sneaking suspicion. So in that case, you can go straight into your number 73.
I think you already mentioned this, so maybe this is our first.
This is our first
on-hold?
Our first on-hold. Yeah, go on, hit me with it. Was it?
And now I feel bad if it wasn't one you mentioned, but that is Unfriended.
Yes, Unfriended was my number.
Unfriended, Unhold.
Yeah, it was number 89 was Unfriended for me. Yeah. What an inventive little movie. It's funny you brought up Host just a few entries ago, because this, to me, was the even better. I mean, this came first, admittedly, but, this was, I think when we saw this, I think our general feeling was that this is way better than I think either of us thought it had any right to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember going into it and kind of being like, all right, so we're just gonna like make fun of this movie, right? Like, there's no way it's gonna be good, and it was pretty surprising to be like, oh wait, no, this is
do you know what it is?
legitimately good.
And I'm sure we said this in the review, but it was the way it used, because obviously the whole movie's just looking at the computer screen, right? It was the way it used little things like the main character typing something then deleting it, so you knew what was going on in her head, but she was too scared to say it, or what she was googling when she was talking to the others, or just all these little details that tapped into like an experience that at least all of us in our kind of like generation and lore have of like being online and doing these little decisions. So it kind of spoke to us in a way that a movie never spoken to me before. And it used it, like, honestly, other than the final like 30 seconds, which goes for a really shitty like typical jump scare thing.
Yes,
I really liked Unfriended. I was super into it. I thought it was a great even the sequel's pretty good. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like it's pretty shocking, but yeah, the characters are like like shitty teens, but that really works for the story, and it's interesting to see how the story plays out. And again, it feels very gimmicky, but then it's like surprising that like, oh, you're doing a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought of to do with this, like this style or whatever. They really use the medium to its benefit.
It does everything that they probably could have done with the premise, and then they actually found a way to shake it up with the second movie, which was very impressive.
Yeah.
But both in the type of protagonist and also what the threat was very different. So very, very interesting. So yeah, Unfriended. Yeah, surprisingly good movie, honestly. All right, so that was your number
73.
73. Did you have that last time? No, you couldn't have done. No. Okay. All right. All right. So Sonny, you're 70. Oh, my 73.
Well, you're 73. Yeah.
Yeah. And funnily enough, this is also an unhold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is Zombie 2 /Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Oh, nice.
Directed by Lucio Fulci. Called Zombie 2 because it was marketed as a sequel to Zombie in Italy, and Zombie was Dawn of the Dead. So they were being a bit cheeky, yes. But this is the zombie versus shark movie with lots of good music and style.
Yeah, and just like really great zombie action. like obviously, the zombie versus shark is like the big thing that's in it, but there's lots of really cool stuff, and like and it's interesting just to kind of see like the way the kind of the differences. Like I feel like they treat zombies versus like the American zombies or whatever, because like the American zombies I feel like are very like animalistic, they're running after you and trying to eat you and stuff. Like this is like they feel more menacing, like they're like, I'm not just gonna eat you, I'm gonna like grab you and like drag your eye through like this like wooden spike. Like,
it's a very memorable scene. Even just the scenes of them all getting up out of the ground with the maggots and stuff on them, it's very distinct. It's really good zombie stuff. Honestly, the only reason why this isn't even higher for me, and probably you as well, is that the characters are just kind of there. They're whatever, right? You don't really care about them. There's not much to them. They're badly dubbed, as a lot of these characters in these types of movies are, and it's just. But you're there for the zombie action. You're there for how well it's shot, and on those accounts, it's very, very good.
Yeah, like what sets it apart from like Romero's zombie film is like those are always about something. They have like this underlying like metaphor or allegory to them that you can always like discern like, oh, it's also about this.
Well,
like
to be fair, Tim, there is an underlying theme in this. Is we want money, so we made a Dawn of the Dead sequel.
That's fair. Yeah, there's that. But no, like these are just like we don't want to think about it too much. Let's just have like lots of really like cool zombie stuff, and I like the different like the zombies just like grosser. Like when I think of like the Romero zombie films, like they're kind of just like people, but like their skin's like a little different and maybe like a little decay in here. Like here they're basically like walking corpses like a lot of the time, like but which is like very gnarly and cool looking. Even
the opening, which is like the boat that's sort of like just floating outside of New York City, and like the cops come to like check on it. It's got a good spooky feeling, it's like it's really like I think it's Fulci's direction more than anything else that really sets it apart, despite all the characters being utterly forgettable. So very good. All right, so that'll take us on to your 72.
So again, I think this is one that we kind of differed on, but I think this movie is a lot of fun, and that is Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah. This was 72 for you last time, so it's down just a touch. Oh no, it's the exact same. You're quite right.
It's the exact same. Again, very funny that I did not plan that at all. But no, I think it's a fun anthology movie. I like pretty much all the story, or different plot lines that are in it. Some fun kills, like some fun mythology stuff. It's just a good time. Again, it's another one that takes place on Halloween. Maybe I just was missing Halloween so much when I wrote this list on November
Tim, it's not
1st.
even been a week. It's like the time of recording. It's been what, 3 days? No, 2 days. It's been 2 days since Halloween.
A man can mourn.
All right. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just not hot on it, and we'll just leave it at that. Go back and check out the review if you want to hear the debate and the full thoughts. All right, cool. So that was your 72. My 72 is Arachnophobia, which is up slightly.
Okay.
This was 78 last time, so this is up 6 spots. This is I like this. I watched this again last year, and it's obviously it's a movie about spiders. It's got Jeff Daniels in it and some other recognizable faces. John Goodman as the exterminator. All good fun. It's not obviously a hardcore horror movie, but I think this is like one of the best. Cause it's only like a PG, but it doesn't like feel like it's held back by that. It feels like it's exactly as like spooky and like creepy as it should be for what it is. So you've got the small town setting. Jeff Daniels is the new doctor in town, and no one believes him that there's something mysterious about these deaths. Where he's like, no, there's some sort of bite going on here. There's some sort of venom in the system or whatever. And it's it's a spider movie. There's spiders crawling in the shoes. You've got the big cobwebs in the barn at one point. It's a really fun. This is exactly the sort of like horror movie you show to like a 7-year-old to get them into horror. You're like, no, watch Arachnophobia. There's nothing in it that's too spicy, and it'll if you're into this, you'll maybe get the taste and you'll want some more. So it's a feel good movie to me though.
I like this movie as well. I haven't seen it a ton though. Like, I've probably only seen it once or twice, but I remember liking it.
Cool. Which takes us on to what will be your final number of the episode.
That would be The Blob. Of course, the 1988 remake. Okay.
You hold that, you bastard. All right. Okay, I'll need to write that down for you though. Did you have that last time? I don't know if you did. You may.
I don't remember.
You did not. So that's a new entry for you. Very good. All
right. In the years between the lists, I must have got it on Blu-ray. And
I hadn't seen it last time when we did the last list, so this was a new one for me. All right, so my 71 then, final here, and I suspect I'm going to hear a yell here. 71 for me, just down slightly from 66, is Ringu.
Yeah, hold it, please.
Hold it, yes. I figured you might say that, Tim. This was interesting. When we started, just before we started recording this, we said we weren't sure how many we'd do, and I said if we need to do at least 30, and if we get to 30 and we're under 90 minutes, we'll do another 10, and we'll leave 30 for the next 2 parts, but we're actually over 2 hours.
Oh boy.
After 30. So we'll do the next batch. And it'll be about 2 weeks. Tim's busy next week, so you'll be getting part 2 of this later in November, and then part 3 will sneak in right before the end of the month, or maybe at the start of December. But don't worry, it won't impede on any Christmas episodes. In fact, we'll be talking about that soon. What movies we're going to do. But so hopefully you've enjoyed part 1 and seen where some of these earlier movies are slotting in. Tim, you had a lot of new entries, and it wasn't like just all new movies. You have a lot, like I'd say more than half of what you said that episode was new compared to last time. I'll have to go back and recheck the list because I'm interested to see the differences now. You don't have to. I'm going to tell you at the end when we're done.
Okay.
I'm going to list every movie you had last time that you don't have this time. I'm going to shame them and say, hey, this is what you left off this time.
Oh,
and we're going to see what you have decided you hate since last time. And there's a couple that I'm pretty convinced, you don't tell me, don't spoil it. but I've got a pretty good feeling that the Silent Hill movie is not going to be in your top 100 this time. I've got a sneaking suspicion. That said, though, you've got that one you need to fill in. Maybe you're going to pick that to spite me, but anywho, so that's been part one of our top 100. The hope is that because there'll be a lot more crossover the higher we go up the list, that it'll be easier to do a batch of 40 maybe in the third part or even the middle part. But we'll see how it goes. We'll probably do the same thing next time, and we'll say 30, but if we're done with that quick enough, we'll do another 10. But it'll be 3 parts. This has been part 1. Hopefully you enjoyed it. By all means, you can make your top 100 and tell us in the comments if you like. But I understand, though, if you want to wait until the final part before you reveal your whole list, because, you don't want to be giving us your number ones when we're like saying, "Oh, you don't get that yet."
Of course. Yeah.
You hold your horses. So anyway, but there you go. Hopefully you're enjoying the countdown, and we'll be back with part 2 in about 2 weeks, give or take. But thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And why am I going to edit the end of the outro already? Patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Support us on Patreon, and every month you get a bonus episode of Screams After Midnight, which came back in October. There was 2 bonus episodes in October. There'll be 1 every month starting this month. We haven't picked what that is yet, but I'm sure that's something me and Tim will talk about in the next week or 2. And even more Screams, which is the $5 tier and up bonus show, where we just talk about all the different random horror movies we've been watching the month. That'll be back starting in December. We've taken an extra month off from that, so we've got time to do all the countdown. But that'll be back next month on Patreon. But go check out that, support the show, keep the lights on, and keep watching horror movies. We'll see you next time.